welcome back. Once again, it's me, Eddie G, here bringing it to you live and in full effect. And you guys are in tune to a brand new episode of, you guessed it, Eddie G's Comic Culture. The only show on the internet that really matters as we discuss all things comic book related, but not just comic books as well. I'm talking movies, music, TV shows, video games, and things of that nature. All things pop culture related, from the past to the present, and of course the upcoming future. This show is still sponsored by the great folks over at Black Apparel, so make sure you guys check out the website at www.blackapparelblk.com. Special shout out to my brother Kevin C right out there in New Jersey for the plug as usual. Guys, they got some brand new stuff on. They got some fresh tees for both men and women. A lot of summer gears coming out as well. Some tank tops. So if you guys got your gym bodies ready and good to go, ready to flex the guns, why don't you go stop on by on the page and show some love. Of course, I'm going to give my shout outs to all of my friends, my Instagram family, Blu-ray Dan, as well as Channel 3 Productions. Thank you guys for following, as well as, a special shout out to Nerdy Blurb TV. I cannot forget about you guys. Make sure you guys check out the Fandom Initiative on YouTube, Part 2, where we discuss pretty much the aftermath of Avengers Endgame. Thank y'all for letting me be a part of that in the first place, first and foremost, guys. So make sure you check out their page as well, ladies and gentlemen. Nerdy Blurb TV, which is on YouTube as well. They got some great reviews, awesome content. You guys will not be trust me, you guys will not be disappointed. So with that being said, after giving my shout outs and saying my what's ups to everybody, first of all, thank you guys for putting up with my delayed episode. I know I made the announcement a lot earlier this month that I was going to be doing a review on Avengers Endgame, and I really wanted to do something. I really wanted to do a spoiler-filled review, and the reason why I didn't do it so quickly, as you guessed, as I'm sure you guys have guessed it, is because I wanted to give everybody the opportunity, despite the fact that the movie was breaking all kinds of box office records. I still wanted to give the opportunity to a couple of friends out there, especially you guys, to really get the opportunity to see the film and discuss it with me on this forum. One of my friends, actually, he wasn't able to see. That's why one of my friends, when I spoke to, I was actually going to call. I called a friend of mine, my brother out in Philly, and I was getting ready to talk to him about it, but he told me he wasn't going to be able to see it for another like 3 weeks. So it really dawned on me at that point. I was like, wow, let me just, you know what? Let me pump the brakes on the review first, because I know I wanted to talk spoilers with you guys heavy. So with that being said, as you can see, I'm wearing my Captain America T-shirt, and I'm pretty sure you've guessed exactly why. First things first, let's discuss Endgame. Endgame, right off the bat, let's shoot from the hip. It's already an obvious given. It was dope as hell. The movie was I loved it. I thought it was a phenomenal film. The perfect culmination for 22 movies over the span of 11 years. And it really showed, the fruits of their labor. All the planning, all the pieces being put together. Everything really came to fruition in this film. And it really paid off in every possible way you can actually imagine, because very few, we got a lot of times we get movies that are series and they begin well, they end up having some sort of they start off great, but then somewhere down the line they kind of just as they close out their series, it really just it doesn't really, there's certain things that are missing. It kind of, what I'm saying, like it kind of, a lot of times you always see that little flaws here and there, despite the plot holes. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that a lot of the series are pretty bad, because it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of times where we have a lot. Well, like for instance, for example, was that upset with Neo? Was the Matrix trilogy? And I'm just throwing that out there as an example for the upset. I'm not going to get into details as to what happened and God knows what else. But it really, I'm just using that as an example for it. And this movie really set the tone and the precedent, not just for huge ensemble films like this, but for for the future of any kind of franchise, any shared universal franchise like that. And it's just it was done in a way that there's a reason why it needed 3 hours. It needed complete. That was just something that it needed those 3 hours to really break down what they were going for, because in order to close all of those individual stories, when the Avengers started out in 2012, it was really just the basic core, Iron Man, Captain America, of course, Hulk, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Thor, the original six. So basically, throughout the films, of course, as you all know, the team has expanded as it should have, according to the comic books, and it's really gotten, it just really flourished to something else, and it really helped flesh out the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It really built that fandom, and you can't really deny that. So with that being said, it needed such a grand closure, and I think Endgame, despite, I have a few friends who differ with opinion, of course. But in my personal opinion, I think it did a fantastic job closing out that saga. It did it so well, and you couldn't just help but be in your feelings by the time the movie ended. So, with that being said, let's go straight into the facts. The movie starts off pretty much about a couple of years after Infinity War. The team is pretty broken, and they're basically trying to figure out exactly, everyone's, trying to piece their lives together ever since the vanishing. Now, early on in the film, they managed to find Thanos, located in another some off planet, that he actually used the Infinity Stones, and they ended up, he ended up destroying them. So the Avengers locate him, and without any further ado, they literally decapitate him. They take him out. But with that being said, it doesn't fill in the void of the vanishing, because that's what it's called in the movie now. The disappearance of everybody. But so everybody's pretty much reeling over the fact that they've lost their loved ones. Hawkeye. The movie opens up with Hawkeye pretty much having his family completely disappear on him, and it really gave you that it really delved in to how the team was affected by it, how the team was trying to move forward with it. A lot of them were just broken. A lot of them, pretty much the Avengers were all but dead, so to speak. And the only one who really actually showed any progress was the Hulk. The Hulk, now to me, I know a lot of you guys out there, a lot of new. This is how you could tell a lot of newbies out there didn't read the comic books beforehand. A lot of people were pretty upset about Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk is a very pivotal part of his. It's a very important and critical role in this, because there was especially throughout the '90s, there was a few years where he was like that, where the body of the Incredible Hulk was melded with the mind of Bruce Banner, and it went as far as he got married to Betty Ross in that state of in that current state as well. Sorry for tossing that out there. I should have thrown a spoiler alert, but that's neither here nor there. But it's a very crucial part of his history, because it is it's crucial that that you display that. It can only go so far, but and eventually he will be returning back to Hulk Smash, of course. But as far as Professor Hulk is concerned, it really, he really just was. It was just I loved it. Honestly, I just really loved the appeal of it. I think he did a fantastic job. Mark Ruffalo he really shined this way. He really shined a lot in this movie. He was really shining throughout the film as a whole. So despite that, Steve is still trying to figure out a way of bringing the people back, of course. And Tony, who was stranded in space early on in the film with Nebula, who ends up getting rescued by Captain Marvel. I'm going to get into that in a little bit too. Tony's against the whole idea of going back, of trying to deal with time travel. Obviously, Ant-Man is the missing key, and the quantum the quantum force, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot what the hell it was called, but basically this film introduces the multiverse. So therefore, therefore now it starts to set up the. Remember, Disney was in the early stages of of the acquisition with 20th Century Fox at this time. So obviously, I'm gonna get into that in a little while too as well. Obviously, it's missing quite a bit of few characters, but in the process of it all, the containment of this movie and what it did to set up as the expansion was as it was getting ready to expand the universe in the in the very near future was what really hooked me. And a lot of people were riffing about the use of time travel. Listen, it's a comic book film, and I understand there's certain things that you want to have, there's certain things that fans can be sticklers about, and there's reasons for it, but at the end of the day, this is the way that they were going to introduce the multiverse, and you could see now this is how they're going to set up the stage for their other properties like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, mainly speaking. So as the team figures out their way through time travel, they end up having to go back through different eras, and this is where the movie shines in itself. Actually, it really starts when it starts to visit the previous Marvel film installments, for them to have to for them to regain the Infinity Stones to finally defeat Thanos, and omit all of that happening from happening at all. But apparently, in the process of it, because what's the fun part about it is where you see the characters seeing each other, and early on, and the whole ordeal, like they could, like what they would do to try to, like, it was really interesting to see, as because it was kind of like to me, I think it was kind of like a callback to the What If series that Marvel Comics had back in the days, and it was just like, it was pretty interesting seeing the characters looking at their past selves and thinking about what if, what would it, because you could tell that like they're having those moments amongst themselves, like, damn, what if, this would happen, or God knows what. And even Steve Rogers finds himself breaking one of the rules as he bumps into himself and tells himself about that Bucky's still alive. So that was one of the main points that the movie really shined in. Now, as the film, progresses and it starts visiting its past pieces, you start getting that sense early on that the movie's going to start closing out a few chapters. Like, the movie's closing out a few chapters for good. And of course, that's where we get into the somber part. But before I do that, I want to talk about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's appearance in this film was literally almost non-existent. And it was beyond me, because at the end of the day, throughout the entire time, they were really hyping up her appearance in Endgame like that was going to be the end-all be-all for it. Like, she was going to be the key point of defeating Thanos, when really she didn't do much. She really actually didn't do shit. She was only there just for face value, just to open up this, just to fill up a space. But for that reason alone, like, I really was just a little off of that. Like, what kind of crap is this? Like, they build up on that, but that was just a major, like, she was I'll be honest with you, she was a major she was to me, the only major letdown in Endgame was Captain Marvel. As far as everything else was concerned, I was pretty cool. I was cool with. I loved it. But she was really just my only main gripe with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that hype throughout this time, especially at the end of Infinity War, and to have just a minuscule world like that, like, just happening through it didn't make sense to me. It just didn't make sense to me anyway. But, what are you going to do? So with that being said, let's discuss the somber moment. And the somber moment I'm going to discuss about, obviously, is, let's talk about, first and foremost, Captain America. That, to me, was the most heartfelt goodbye I have ever seen for a character on screen. In a way that I've never, and it really fucked me up. I really felt a certain type of way, because I've grown to love Chris Evans' depiction of Captain America. He literally was the embodiment of Captain America. In a lot of ways, Chris Evans was the Christopher Reeve of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He really is. He really is. The way he was just Steve Rogers. Like, I can't see him as anything else, and that's the worst of it because I know he's a great actor. Chris Evans is absolutely a great actor, but from now, here on out, he's always gonna be the one and only super soldier. So having that closed out was really sad because it's like, especially now, like with the universe about to grow the way it's going to grow. Like, how are they going to really juggle a Marvel Cinematic Universe with the X-Men, with the likes of the X-Men, with the likes of the Fantastic Four? And you're not going to have your core guys there, like Captain America. Don't get me wrong. I love Sam Wilson. And I honestly thought they were going to go the Bucky route instead of going Sam Wilson. But the fact that they passed it to Sam Wilson was really, that was another one that really, that hit the feels as well. And because especially seeing him grow with Steve since the Winter Soldier, man, it was just really, it was really something else. So I'm gonna miss Captain America the most out of all of that. Like, I really wish, like, at some point that they do bring him back because, I thought he was perfect. He was that to me was perfect casting. I know everyone loves Robert Downey Jr. and don't get me wrong, I will never take away what Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man at all. The man created a legacy with that role, but to me, it was always my preference was Chris Evans as Captain America. So that was really one of the hardest goodbyes in the end of the movie that I really had to see. Obviously, Tony Stark's was very difficult as well. It was a pretty badass ending for him. He sacrificed himself, and again, I don't know how they're gonna make another universe without Iron Man. Especially how they're gonna contend. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just not. I'm just talking shit. But realistically speaking, I can't see how they're gonna expand this universe with all these new characters coming in and not have people like their core members still that are there. Because especially Scarlet Witch, Black Widow. Black Widow's passing was really a shocker. I didn't expect that at all. That was really fucked up. Like, that one really, I did not see that. That really caught me, like blindsided me. Like, I didn't see that one happening at all. So when they clipped her, I already knew right then and there. Like, man, then her movie's got, this doesn't make sense because, she's got her own movie coming out soon, and so at this point, which it already has been. It's been confirmed that the film is going to be her Black Widow film is going to be a prequel. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's destined it's destined to make a bit of a splash, considering now, especially now with the way she went out in Endgame. Like, I really think it's going to make a big splash, but damn, man, that one sucked too. That really sucked ass. Like, the way they got rid of the way they clipped Black Widow at the end of the movie. That was really just something else. So with that being said, I give the movie a 9.5. I give it a 9.5. Solid all the way through and through. Definitely rewatchable, guys. It's an excellent film, and it leaves you really excited and hopeful as to what's going to happen. I cannot wait till the summer gets here so we can finally get the announcement, especially now that they're going to, because they confirmed that Disney confirmed that Marvel will be unveiling their future slate of Phase 5 and so on and so forth films coming up over the summer, actually. And considering that Far From Home is going to be serving the epilogue to Endgame, I really can't wait for that as well. To be honest with you, I'm really more looking forward towards the Easter eggs in the movie. I know that it's going to serve only as an epilogue simply because of the fact that Peter Parker's relationship in this franchise was pretty important with Iron Man, and they're going to show him. They're going to pretty much, I'm positive they're going to be, the main message of the movie is basically how does Peter go on in a world without Tony Stark. So I'm definitely interested in seeing that, but more so just for the Easter eggs for future for the future installments of films. So with that being said, I'm going to close this episode out. I thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything you want to discuss, you already know, hit the comment section. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Don't play yourself. Hit that subscribe button. I'll be keeping you guys posted as I make sure I'll be doing another episode very shortly. So with that being said, peace and love. I'll see you guys around and catch y'all on the flip side.